The Congress of South African Trade Unions will once again observe the International Day for Decent Work on Tuesday with a National Day of Action. The Congress says this action is centered on retrenchments, weak economic growth, and the rising cost of living. Last year, COSATU mobilized workers across the country, handing over memoranda and demanding urgent actions on issues such as the national health insurance, Eskom tariff hikes, and the filling of vacant public sector posts. This year, they say the crisis has only deepened, with workers facing escalating food, energy, and interest rate costs. Joining us now is the Secretary General of COSATU, Phetoe, to unpack their demands and the plan of action for the week. Soli, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Let's start here. What are the demands and memoranda that will be handed over this year on the commemoration of International Day of Decent Work?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the colleagues, and good afternoon to the viewers. Look, first demand for this International Decent Work Day for the South African Trade Union tomorrow is to demand the full response of our memorandum that we handed over last year. But there are new demand that, not really new demand, but the other additional issues that we're putting into the memorandum for, in particular, employers, including government, that is not complying in terms of the legislation of this country. For an example, you know very well that the financial sector conduct has released a report that last year with 7,200 companies that are not complying in terms of deducting the money of the pension fund of workers and paid to where it's supposed to the fund. This year it has now increased to 15,000 plus, and we are calling for those companies this year. We have identified those companies that are not complying with the act. One by one, will be visiting them province by province, region by regions. We have asked Department of Employment of Labor and those who are responsible to take up the report to bring those inspectorate to us so that we're able to determine an action plan against these companies. You know that the Trump has issued a unilateral decision in relation to the tariffs. Our members are facing challenges for the retrenchment, and we are saying retrenchment is the last resort. We're therefore demanding this year that retrenchment must be stopped, must be negotiated as per the Labor Relations Act, and we're very happy that we have made an improvement at the level of the negotiation on the amendment of the Labor Relations Act that says retrenchment is the last resort, but that increase with 1 week salary for now, for each year's service, now it has gone up to 2 week salary of 2 week salary of each year of service. But there are a number of issues that we're saying employers are not complying. That's the main issue. Employers are disrespecting the legislation of this country. So this year, as is also a protected strike, no worker must be punished for not going to work. No worker must be suspended. No worker must be subjected to a discipline. This is a Section 77 economic strike that will be leading in all the 9 provinces, in all the regions, in those companies that are not complying. And we're very disappointed that some of these companies that are not complying is municipalities.
Yeah.
Almost about 60% of the municipalities in this country, they're deducting the salaries of workers. They are not paying it to the third party. They are not paying workers' salaries. And we've made an example of 1 or 2 municipalities in Free State where we forced them to be taken to court, and the court rules that these municipalities must pay workers what is due to them, and they must pay with interest. And we have said to the Minister of COSATU that don't allow this municipal manager, CFO, and the mayor to appeal using the resources of government. If they are going to appeal, they must use their own resources. And the ministers agreed with us. We are taking up those issues this year on Tuesday.
Yeah, let's talk very briefly about what you problematize there around retrenchments. And let's talk about the private sector. What are manufacturers to do if they've been adversely impacted by the Trump tariffs and are considering a Section 189 notice to some of their workers to downsize? Will COSATU challenge those Section 189 notices if its members are impacted? Or do you think that there are paths to negotiate some form of relief for these businesses?
We're definitely challenging it, but firstly, as the Labor Relations Act says, employers and unions must engage. As I said, if you are going to you want to retrench plus minus 3,000, for an example, the negotiations, if you negotiate in good faith, you are able to reduce the number to less than 3,000. So that's what we want. If not, we will have to challenge it. But at the same time, we've approached the Department of Trade and Industry, we've approached the Department of Employment and Labor to try and talk about the relief to rescue companies that are facing these challenges of retrenchment. There are companies that they don't care about this. For example, the Asolometers. The Department of Trade Industry says here's over 380 something million to try and rescue the job. They said even if you can bail us out, we're still going to retrench workers. What does that mean? It means that these employers, they don't care about the right of workers. They don't care about the economics, the challenges. They don't care about the cost of living in this country. They don't care about the employment rate that is increasing on a daily basis, because theirs is about profit. Even if they are bailed out, they still saying they are still going to retrench. And those are things that we are going to challenge. And these are things that we are challenging currently as COSATU.
Yeah, let's talk about the fact that Stats SA told us that 80,000 jobs have been contracted, lost in the agriculture sector in the last quarter as a result of economic downturn and, of course, beginning to see the creeping effects of the global tariff war that Trump has onslaughted on the rest of the world. What are COSATU's thoughts around safeguarding the jobs, particularly in the agricultural sector, which is incredibly vulnerable to external factors?
Well, the thought that we've submitted to government through NETLEC is that, one, I've spoken about the PIC must be invested where workers are going to benefit. Our UIF has a responsibility also to bail out companies. But secondly, is to engage, is about training in relation to rescue those jobs. But as I said, some employers, in fact, not some, majority of employers, they don't want to negotiate. They give workers retrenchment today. The Section 189 today, the next day, they go ahead with those. That's not consultation, it's an instruction. Consultation means engage, come up with some proposal in terms of what is that we can do together. That's what the Labor Relations Act, what is that we can do together to try and avoid a bigger number of the retrenchment. So our call is that engagement at NETLEC with all the business people, let's bring our head together. Let's go to this department that I spoke about and see if we can't be able to engage to try and save those workers. Yes, the sector that we're talking about, agriculture, is vulnerable. But if agriculture is vulnerable because employers at that sector don't care about the lives of workers, that department can be saved. That sector can save and can create more jobs if all of us will bring our head together at the level of NETLEC.
Yeah, but no matter how much we negotiate, you can't negotiate your way out of the fundamental truth of economics. That is, if the economy is not growing, you won't be able to safeguard the gains of economic growth or the economy as it currently stands. And South Africa has had nominal economic growth below for the last 10 years, below that of population growth. So in real terms, our economy has not been growing. There's no amount of negotiating that can, subdue that fact. And that still leaves employers quite vulnerable, including the state, by the way, as an employer. And that's where the conversation needs to begin and be centered around. What are some of the thoughts around COSATU and its engagements with the state around low economic growth, which last year were a part of its considerations for International Day of Decent Work?
Look, we had made submission in terms of employment growth programs at the level of NETLEC. That's why my apologies, I'm going to repeat what I said, is that the problem that we are not negotiating with people who are honest. We are not negotiating with people who can put their card open to the table and say, this is what we're proposing, this is what we're putting on the table. Theirs is just to put straightforward and say we are retrenching. But they thought we've made submission at the level of NETLEC since the COVID, and that program of the employment growth has not been put on test. And we're saying, let's go back, look at around the issues of the energy, because one of the issues that some of the company, in particular mining, agriculture, manufacturing, they are using the cost of electricity, they are using the load shedding for retrenchment. We've spoken with the Minister of, we've met more than 2-3 times with the Minister of Energy, and we're agreeing that it is our responsibility to meet together with this ministers, with the private sector, including government, in particular public sector also, because issues of retrenchment does not only affect private sectors. You've got workers who are employed as extended public program. If those workers can be taken for a training in terms of the skills development, it will be able to rescue or it will be able to reduce the unemployment rate of this country. The challenge is that there are no implementation of the legislation. The Labor Relations Act, Section 198 says any worker who has worked for more than 3 months, he must be or she must be employed as a permanent worker. And it doesn't mean there is no space to employ those workers. The issue is that people, employers in particular, and government are focusing on their personal interests. They are not focusing on rescuing the economy of this country.